Welcome to another episode of Better Business, Better Life. I'm your host, Deborah Chantry-Taylor. I'm a trained entrepreneurial leadership and business coach, a professional EOS implementer, and an established business owner myself. I am really passionate about helping business owners to have a better life through creating a better business. My guests have also experienced the highs and lows of business, and we want to share those learnings with you to help you avoid some of the common mistakes and also be inspired by their success. My hope is that you take something from each of these short episodes that you can put into action to help you get what you want, not only out of your business, but also your life. Welcome to another episode of Better Business, Better Life. Today I am joined by Maurice Dubey from Q4 Associates. Thank you for coming on board today, Maurice.
Lovely to be here.
How are you? You well?
Yeah, very good, thanks.
Friday afternoon for us here, so we're just winding down after quite a busy week for both of us. So, Maurice, would you like to just explain to us a little bit about what Q4 Associates does?
Yep, okay. So Q4 Associates are a digital workforce provider. So we help organisations transform their organisation by putting in place a digital workforce. So a digital workforce is basically a software solution such as AI or robotic process automation, to mimic or take away the jobs that people have to do with inside organisations. So a lot of the repetitive processing that big organisations have to do, for instance, the solutions basically replace that. But what's critical is that works in harmony with your people workforce as well, obviously.
And it's kind of where we got our title from today, isn't it? Sort of doing what you love with people you love. And I think we've talked a little bit about the fact that people often do these things that are boring and repetitive and they really don't enjoy. So you ultimately take that away and to allow them to get on with what they truly enjoy.
Yeah. And that's actually one of the reasons that we're sort of in it. Is it's not just about helping organisations sort of make money and save costs. But it allows organisations to be far more agile going forwards, but also better customer benefits, but better employment benefits as well, or employee benefits, as far as, not having to have big teams of people that are just coming to work to do the same monotonous job hour after hour after hour. Humans aren't designed to be robots doing the same sort of thing. So why are we making them do it? So, it's a sort of personal goal of ours, I suppose, is to help overcome this current way in which businesses operate today.
Okay. Yeah. And so how long has it been going for? When did you start the business?
Yeah, so we've been going for 3 years. We were involved in the sector for a few years prior to that as well.
Yep.
A couple of us sort of got together and said, well, wait a minute, we love this industry and we love what it can do. So we decided, join forces and get stuck in and do it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So 3 years. I mean, a lot of businesses fail in the first couple of years of being there. How did your first couple of years go?
Yeah, very good, actually. It was really strange because obviously coming from a previous company, we had restraints of trade for a few of our customers, etc.
Yep.
But in our first couple of weeks, we got phoned up by the global company that we deal with, who basically said, hey, we know you guys know what you can do and are really good at it, and we've got this problem. Can you help come and solve this problem for one of our major customers? So all of a sudden, day one, we almost had like 6 months worth of work for 3 of our guys, or, myself and my other 2 business partners.
Yeah.
So what a great start for our business.
That's
it was
fantastic.
Really lucky.
Yeah.
So,
and has it always been smooth sailing?
Oh, it's been, it's been an interesting ride. Like, it's been busy.
Yep.
But, I suppose that the challenge is it's been busy for us, but also from a customer perspective, they've had to learn a lot as well about, what works for them and what doesn't. So, it's been very busy, but very sort of undulated, if that sort of makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So how many are there in your team now?
So we're up to 25, which is quite a milestone, actually.
Especially after 3 years. That's significant growth.
Yes,
yeah.
It's pretty frightening growth, actually.
Is it? Yeah. Why do you say that?
Just because you sort of wake up in the morning and think, wow, what a responsibility you have, whereas I suppose, we went into it trying to do what we love doing.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you realize, well, wait a minute, we're doing what we love doing, but we've also got this huge responsibility for a whole lot of other people's lives, etc.
Yeah.
So that's quite daunting as well. So, yeah. So
that happens a lot.
changes.
Yeah. Happens a lot in business because, you go into something you absolutely love and then before you know it, you've actually got this great big team that you are, as you said, responsible for. So what are some of the challenges that you've had along the way in terms of that growth?
Yeah. Obviously, securing new customers is a key one. I suppose every company does that. But probably taking that a step further, it's about securing new customers that we want to be working with. And I know that sounds quite arrogant, but one of my sort of key beliefs is, you want to work with people you love working with, but that doesn't just include the people in your business. So, we're also very fussy about which other organizations we sort of partner with, but also, hopefully it doesn't come across as arrogant, but being careful about which customers you pick as well, because you can pick a difficult customer and it can just drain the energy out of you, right? Which then isn't good for your other customers. So we are actually a little bit fussy about our customer base as well. So.
Fair enough. Yeah. And so how do you pick the customer? Because I hear you. Yeah. I think everybody should be doing what they love with people they love. But how do you sort of know?
Yeah, you sort of weed it out in the whole sort of upfront assessment of the customer or in the pitching. If you're pitching for work and they're just difficult to deal with even at the pitching stage, then it's easier to walk away at that stage, Yes, you can come across customers, I suppose, like from previous industries that you pitch or you get some work and then you get some difficult people in those organisations. But I suppose you've just got to deal with that as it goes. But, if my sort of advice, if you're getting hints where they're not going to be easy to deal with, then don't go there. Path, right?
Yeah, let them down gently.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. So in terms of, when you grow a business, you're going from originally the 3 of you up to sort of 25 staff. I should imagine there must be some times when it gets a little bit stressful. How do you personally help overcome that?
Yes. I suppose the key thing actually is we have some really nice, frank and honest conversations within our team, like at the ownership level.
Yep.
And we've sort of got past the stage that we don't take things too personally, and we know when the other guys are giving us feedback that they're doing it with the right intentions. And I know it sounds very cliche, and yes, that's what leadership books say you should be doing, etc. But I suppose there's a very big difference between sort of saying, "Hey, we do this," and actually doing it. It's quite funny because one of the shareholders and I were having a conversation the other day, and one of the first engagements we did was like we were travelling to Sydney every week for 6 months. So we decided we'd rent an apartment together. So it was funny because we were talking and sort of said, yeah, but we've been flatmates for 6 months, right? So you sort of think, well, wait a minute, if you can survive as flatmates for 6 months, you can survive as co-shareholders or co-directors, So we do. We have some really nice conversations, and we all know it comes from caring rather than sort of like an ego-driven sort of basis. I think that's really vital.
Yeah. Patrick Lencioni is one of my favourite authors, and he talks a lot about the dynamics of a team and making sure you do have those open, honest conversations. Yeah. And I come across it in my work as well, and it's, it's really important because if you're harbouring something and not letting it out, it creates a whole lot more issues than,
Yeah, absolutely. The other key thing though too is, and back to what I was going about earlier, is the focusing on what you actually love doing.
Yeah.
So, as owners of a business, we went into the business because we wanted to be doing what we wanted to be doing on a day by day basis. So we want to get up every morning and know that we're going to be doing the stuff we love.
Yep.
So it was quite interesting because we've sort of, as the original 3 sort of owners of Q4 Associates, we're doing the stuff we love, but then sort of realizing, well, actually, we don't have, the company's growing.
Yep.
But we don't have somebody who's driving the overall business, right? And sort of thinking, but we're not doing that because that's not something we love doing. So we've just brought in a new CEO who's sort of now a shareholder and has a wealth of knowledge in this sector as well. That's Sam. And it's fantastic because she's now slotted into, I suppose, like a jigsaw puzzle. She's slotted into the piece that she loves doing.
Yep.
which is doing a lot of the coordination and as a CEO.
Yeah.
And now in the business, we're doing the jobs that we love doing. So, and we have really good conversations about who should be doing what and validating, well, actually, but is that what you want to be doing?
Yep.
Because it's not just doing it because the business needs it. It's you've got to want to be doing those roles. So, yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any tools that you actually use to help people uncover what they love doing? Because often it's hard to know, isn't it?
Yeah. No, good question. And it's something I've sort of been quite passionate about for years. And it's funny actually, in a previous job, I sort of came up with a bit of a model, which was you want to be doing the day-to-day activities you like. So it's not about a role. It's not about I want to be a project manager or a developer, but it's lower level than that. Is actually what are the actual things you want to be doing.
Yep.
So understanding that, and I don't think a lot of people get to that stage. They sort of think, oh, I'd like to be a project manager because I can organize stuff. But what is it underneath that? Is it solving problems? Is it tracking stuff closely? Is it being an innovator? So what are the low level things that you love doing? So that's one aspect I sort of came up with is you got to define what you love doing at a detailed level. The second one is what is your surroundings like? Is it autonomy? Is it that you need to be given direction? What sort of people do you want to work with?
Yep.
Sort of really knowledgeable people or people who are friendly, like understanding your environment.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the third one was sort of around the reward structure. So this isn't the dollars. This is what else is there? Is it appreciation? Is it satisfaction?
Yep.
Is it flexibility? So sort of understanding those things. And I came up with a model around actually just bullet pointing your answers to those things, to help sort of flesh out, what sort of job or, employment you really want.
Yeah.
And then I heard another lecture and the guy said he had a situation where he went to an organization doing some change management and they said, go and talk to Mary on the production line. Mm-hmm. So, we want her in the management team. So he went and spoke to Mary and Mary said, oh, but if I do that, I can't help the local sports club. So I can't fulfill my other personal needs in life.
Right.
So therefore my model turned into a 4-piece model. So the last one is making sure that what you're doing is congruent with your other values and things that you want to achieve in life. So, So it's quite funny because I sort of came up with this model and I gave it to, hopefully not talking out of turn here, but I gave it to my team in a previous organization to sort of say, hey, look, a lot of you are saying you don't really know what you want to be doing going forwards. And to help me lead you, I need you to understand what you want to be doing. So here's a tool. It's not to be shared. It's just to use yourself. So you understand what you want to be doing. And about a week later, one of the ladies in the team came and said, Maurice, I need to catch up. And I thought, oh dear.
Oh God.
And she said, I'm leaving. I've decided to go somewhere else and it's your fault. And I'm thinking,
what have I done now?
What have I done? And then she said, you gave me that piece of paper to fill in. And she said, I've realized that, this is a great organization, but it's not going to fill a couple of my needs. And so it helped her, highlight what was really important to her.
Yep.
And she'd been there for 13 years or something, right? So,
yeah.
And it just sort of highlighted, no, actually, she's got some needs that won't get filled in that organization. So, which is, you think, well, it's really bad for the business, but it's not, right? It's great because it's better to have somebody, even though she was very good, leave.
Yep.
Than be there and not knowing really what she wanted to do, right?
And not being happy in doing that. Yeah, that's right. That's interesting. I think the same applies to business owners too, right, though? I mean, we've got to really seriously think about where do we excel? Where do we put the best effort in and get the best results from it? And how do we make sure we love what we're doing every day? Yeah.
That's exactly right. And I also think it's getting past that ego, what I was saying before as well. Like it's really, a lot of, I don't know, I've spoken to a lot of startup people in my life and, a lot seem to be, I'm, managing director of one. Of Maurice Dubey Associate. And you think, oh, come on,
Yeah.
And so it's around that sort of stuff. And yes, that's great. But I think people have to understand really what do they want to be getting out of bed in the morning for, you know. So,
I absolutely agree. It's fantastic. Yeah. So your model, is it available somewhere?
Yes, we put it on our website. So if people go to Q4 Associates, they can look it up in the
So that's q4associates.biz, right?
Yes. Or q4.co.nz. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so they can actually find that on the website. That's fantastic. I saw also, we were just talking before, you've got you're a Blue Prism certified partner. And you are, what's that, New Zealand's first and only double silver certified Blue Prism partner. So what does that really mean?
Yes, so Blue Prism is one of the tool sets that we use. So, and this is a configurable tool that you use to mimic what a human does. So instead of a human doing the same job, logging into system A and updating some information and copying that to system B, for example, you use a underlying tool set, and one of them is called Blue Prism. Which is used that you configure to actually mimic what the human would do, and it's got the right security around it, the right logging, etc. So it's sort of real enterprise grade solution. So anyway, so that's Blue Prism, and answering your question, what does it mean? So obviously, to be able to sell and install the software, you've got to be a certified organisation, and with different skill sets. So we are both certified as a capability partner and a delivery partner. So we're double certified as a silver partner in those spaces.
That's awesome. So I usually ask my guests when they first come on, I forgot with you, for a professional and a personal best. So I'm going to go back a little bit now and just say, can you tell me a little bit about, what you, from your professional career, what's been your best thing, and what from a personal perspective as well?
Yeah. And it was interesting when we were pre-talking about this, sort of thinking about what is the professional best.
Yeah.
And I suppose it comes to when we founded Q4, it was a sort of a moment in my life that I sort of thought, where am I heading forwards? It's so easy to sort of evolve in your careers. And every now and again you're in the luxury space of thinking, actually where do I want to go?
Yep.
So part of that was really reflecting on what do I want to do with my life? And it really came to sort of actually achieving something that matters. Like, out of all the things that people are scared of, mine is probably on my deathbed and thinking, well, that was a waste, right? I don't want to get there and think I've wasted this opportunity. So when I reflected at where did I really feel like I'd made a difference, the sad thing was it was over 20 years ago in the health sector, and it was sort of, major changes in the health sector in the sort of mid to late 90s. And don't know if many New Zealanders remember, but when they had regional health authorities, etc. And way back then, there was major technology advances, etc. So we worked on some amazing things back then as far as changing the health sector in the way it collected data. So at that stage, it used to just pump money out to healthcare providers, obviously, looking after people, etc.
Yep.
But we changed it that not only were we pumping money out, but had better visibility of where that money was going, but also got much better data back. So people could start, or analysts could start really understanding what was happening in the health sector, like how much money was being spent on different genders or ethnicities or whatever. What were the most successful sort of treatments for particular sort of illnesses, etc. So it was fantastic, a fantastic achievement in quite a short period of time.
That's awesome.
So hence,
And did that lead you into sort of what you're doing now a little bit in terms of looking at how you can make things better?
Yes, definitely. The whole, and back to Q4 and why I'm sort of in it is about that. It is about something, to me, something has to happen in the whole workforce domain. Like the whole concept of work to me is sounds really bizarre and people think I'm a nutter, but it's wrong. Like, how many, like I read something the other day that 80% of people are either not engaged or actively disengaged. So what? 80% of people don't enjoy getting up every morning and going to work.
God,
really? You sort of think, well, wait a minute, is that really right?
Is it worth it? Is it worth, life is too short, right?
That is exactly it. So to me, something has to happen, people there's a revolution about 4-day working weeks, etc. But still, if people don't know what they love doing, even 4 days is wrong.
Still hell.
Right? So surely we should get to a stage of people out there actually, understanding what they really want to be doing and doing exactly that. And I know it sounds a lot nicer than it is or easier than it is. People are stuck with mortgages, etc. But people still should really understand what they like doing, because then it has, imagine if you get to a stage that people are doing what they love doing. It's a flowing effect into their family life. It's a flowing effect into society. So it has a much, much wider influence in life. So, hey, we can make a difference. We can change the way organisations operate just by being smarter with technology.
But people are a bit scared, aren't they, about things like AI and the robots taking over. But the sort of stuff that you're talking about is things that really are just sort of mind-numbingly time-consuming and dull. Is that right?
That's exactly, And it's interesting, actually, because you talk to a lot of organisations who are putting this in. And where they're focusing it is the pain points. It's where they can't keep people doing that job, So rather than, keep training new people to do this mind-numbing work, let's focus technology in doing that, right? And it means that the organisation can pivot and change much, much easier. Then it means these people go off and do something that's a little bit more exciting than just, typing
number
the same
crunching
stuff and getting RSI and all that sort of stuff.
Okay. Interesting. What about personally? What are you, what's your personal best?
Personal best, obviously, besides the family and that sort of stuff, is, I pick really radical things to do in life. So as well as being in IT for years, many years ago, I set up a forestry company.
Oh, did you?
I spoke to a guy that I studied with, and he said he was a forestry management guy, and he said, a great form of superannuation is forestry. So 25 years ago, we went off and created a forestry company just out of the blue. And then about 10 years ago, my wife and I decided, let's plant a truffery. So we knew nothing about truffles or owning a truffery, but knew we sort of lived in a okay area for it. So off we went and did that. So I like doing the slightly bizarre stuff as well as the technology stuff.
So the truffery, you were saying before, it actually takes quite a while to get the ground right and everything else before you can start actually producing truffles. So where are you at now in that process?
Yes. So it was about 2 years of ground preparation. So that's getting the pH right and all the other chemical balances. And lots of work. So a lot of neighbours looking at us very funny, like, why have you got this blank paddock that's white with lime? And
how many tons of lime was it again?
66 ton of lime.
66 ton of lime on one paddock.
One paddock. So, we got some very strange comments and looks from the neighbours. And then, we plant a truckload of these tiny trees that are only about 20 centimetres tall and just wait for years and years and years. So, so now we're at the stage that, the dogs can go sniffing around and, hopefully finding truffles.
Well, that's awesome. That's fantastic. Hey, look, I want you to share a few things with our listeners around what they can do to sort of, get back to doing what they love with people they love. We actually have a thing in EOS. We call it the EOS life, and we say do what you love with people you love, making a significant difference, being compensated appropriately with time to pursue other passions. So that's my little EOS life mantra that I like to live by. What sort of tools can people use to make sure that they actually are doing what they love with people they love? We've got the tool that we talked about before. So has that got a name?
I called it, what did I call it at the time? It was a couple of years ago. I think it's my work needs analysis.
Okay.
So it's just understanding your personal needs, because everybody has different needs, right? And it's not something you go and share with other people. It's just something you use for yourself, etc. So my work needs analysis. Other tools, I really just believe in people talking to other people about things, right? Like keeping it to yourself and sitting there, even sitting on a hammock for half a day trying to work it out. But sometimes it just takes a bit of dialogue and just bouncing ideas around. And and don't lock yourself into sort of, it's got to be in this domain. The amount of people I've dealt with over the years who've totally broken out of their current domain that they work in and actually just say, wow, I love doing this other stuff, I was in one team and there was quite a bit of restructuring going on. And one of the team members left the organisation and came in about 2 months later and said, I'm training dogs, and it's been my passion for years, and I don't know why I didn't go there earlier, right?
Wow, yeah.
And you just think, well, that's fantastic that they've just gone off and have decided to do what they love doing. Right?
Yeah. So it is possible.
Oh, it is definitely possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the third and last thing, what would you say? What advice would you give to somebody who's perhaps not doing what they love right now?
Yeah, I would say, really take a step back and back to, don't think of a generic sort of thing that you'd like to be doing, like a salesperson or whatever. Really think, what are the pieces that really trigger that bit of spark and that excitement in your life?
Yeah. And I think you can look to your outside interests and things as well to sort of think about that, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my husband's a musician, and he, he just loves music. But he's an actuary in his daytime job. So, but I think you can look at what you do in your outside life and go, oh yeah, those are the things that I really enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, look, thank you so much for coming on board today. Really appreciate it. Lovely to hear your story. And if anybody wants to get in contact with you, how would they do that?
So it's just maurice.dubey@q4.co.nz or just on our website. There's an information sort of place there.
That's fantastic. Thank
My
you very
pleasure.
much, Maurice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a lovely afternoon. Thanks again for joining us on Better Business, Better Life with me, your host, Deborah Chantry-Taylor. If you enjoyed what you heard, then please subscribe to this podcast and let us help you to get what you want out of business and life. Each week we will release a new 20-minute episode which will give you 3 takeouts to put into action immediately on one of the 6 key areas that can take your business from good to great. These short podcasts are designed to be listened to in their entirety on the way to or from work or in your lunch break. The podcast is supported by free resources, templates and useful tools which you can find at deborahchantrytaylor.com.
This podcast was proudly produced by NZ Audio Editors. For all your editing services, you can find us on the World Wide Web at www.nzaudioeditors.com.